Dun, 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 dun. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tag Mixer video tutorial in this series. In the last video, we went ahead and made it so that we could add a new package. Finally, we're in the packages part. And I made it so you could add one, generate a random key for each package, and save it with a predefined traffic source. These traffic sources we set up in the general settings page. But what happens when you save one and then you're going to edit one? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. And warning, this might be longer than 10 minutes. Chances are highly likely. So let's just jump right back over here into our Visual Studio Code. We're in the Tag Mixer Packages page. This is where we just set up this collapse that had all this information in it. And down here, under the next part, which is the second collapse, we have just some, this is that same like random like text, right, that just says nothing. And here's where we're going to go ahead and add a form similar to this first form, except it's going to be a little different. It's going to let us select the packages that already exist and then change their name and their predefined source. We're not going to let the user change the unique key, obviously, because that's what makes it unique from the other packages, and that needs to be set. Once it's set, they can't change it. They need to delete it and start new. So how do we do that? Well, one thing is you're going to get really confused in here because you have these collapses that are so similar. So one thing you might want to do is collapse. See how you can... well, I wanted it to drop out the whole thing. I guess it's not doing it. But I want to get rid of the collapses that could confuse us. In this case, it's collapse 3 and collapse 2. I just want to have collapse 2 open, and that's kind of a cool Visual Studio Code feature. So if you guys want to follow with that, you can. I just know that I can get confused sometimes. And in fact, even when I was trying to make a video recently, I got confused and was editing the entire wrong code. So, but one thing we do need is we need to take the form from this first collapse. We're going to steal its form. We have been known to do that in this series, and nobody's going to know the difference. So let's steal that. And then inside the collapse 2, let's go ahead and just remove what's here. Get rid of that. Give us some space to work with, man. And then post that in. All right, so now we have a second form very similar to the first form. Now, the thing is, as you guys know, it has the method of get, because it's sending it through the URL, action of nothing, because we're going to make it go to the same page. However, once again, just to reiterate, WordPress has a strange issue where the page is not sent back by default, meaning that it literally sends you into the dead zone if you try to send any settings through without redeclaring your page, at least the way I know it. Maybe somebody else knows it a different way, but this is the way I've always done it. So we have a hidden type in our, or a hidden type input in our form. The very first one is page, and then up at the top we grab the current get variable for page and resend it, and that way it knows what page to go to. It comes back here, does its deal. All right, but we need to change some things around. Primarily, we need to get rid of the first text field, because we have 2 text fields and a select. We actually need to select a text field and a select. The existing packages, new package name, and changing the source. Straightforward? I hope so. If not, you'll get it pretty quick. So we're going to delete that and get it out of here. And we're going to give ourselves some more space again, because I want to make sure that you can see what's going on. Let's go ahead and just steal, oopsie, again, the second one, the form, or I mean the select. And we're going to go ahead and change up this select. So instead of predefined traffic sources, we're going to call this, let's call it existing mixers. All right, existing mixers. That's our existing tag mixers. It needs to be its name and it needs to be its ID. Okay, so all that's together. And then what are we going to say here? We're going to say existing tag mixer packages. Packages. There we go. Okay, not a capital I trying to sneak in there. All right, there is no I in team. And as far as the default option, we don't want that. I'll show you why. We don't want to have a default option the user can select. We're actually going to put it in the if 0 items part. So here's the first important thing. I don't want to call this one source keys the same as the second one. I actually want to call this something like tag mixer packages is fine. And then the post type, if you guys remember, we created a custom post type for our new post for tag mixer packages, and these are literally just called tag mixer package. It's not plural, so don't get confused. And that's going to call in up to 3,000. Remember, if you leave this out, it will just get them all. For some reason, I've always put it in there. I don't know why. It's like a force of habit, right? Okay. So right here, we need to say if the count of the tag mixer packages is 0, that means there isn't any. And guess what we want to do? We want to wrangle in the user by saying we need to output an option. Then we need to close that option. And then we need to say no tag mixer packages. Now we could also error check for this above, because a user is always going to do what you don't want them to do. I've said this before and I'll say it again. They are going to do always what you don't want them to do. That is just like default human mode. Like, hey, don't do this thing. And then the human says, I want to do this thing. So you say, don't click this. Why would you click that? You have no packages. Click. So that's that. So we'll probably end up error checking for that above. So, all right, so let's go ahead and start circling through. We're going to say for each tag mixer package, and let's just call it like tag key. We could call it package or whatever. Doesn't matter. And then all we have to do, we do want to lay out the data the same exact way as we laid out in the other one, except for we got to do something right here. As you guys recall, when we added in our packages using this data here, this becomes the title of the post. This becomes the body of the post. This becomes question mark. Where does it go? We made it a post meta. Do you remember that? We added it as metadata. It's a way you can do it internally in WordPress that you can add more custom fields to it. Well, here's where we're going to get that post meta. Here's how easy that is. Wild, right? Like, unbelievable. Get post meta, who would have thought? And here's the parameters it needs. First, it needs an ID. Well, fortunately, we are circling through posts right now, aren't we? And every post in WordPress has an ID. You just have to say ID. And then it wants the name of the custom field. Well, we called this custom field the source key. If you go to the top of this page and look in our PHP, it's in there. When it adds the custom post, it adds this as the source key. And then the last variable is if you want it as a singular and you say true. That turns it into a readable string versus an array. Now we have some packages. And if we head back into our site, because I think we already added one package, we should be able to refresh this page and we should already get a package in there if we have one. Aha, look at that. So we do have one, don't we? We have Home Depot. We have its random key. Oh, but look, it's not separated correctly right here. I did not separate it correctly right here. We want to give it another space and forward slash. All right, on this refresh, it will be correct. Edit, and there it is. All right, so we can see the name of the package, its unique key, its traffic source name, and its traffic source, the two traffic source variables, right? The name and the source identifier. Perfect, so now we have something to edit. Well, now we need to create an edit slot. So how do we do that? We need to give ourselves a little bit more space. It's all about space these days, isn't it? And give it like that. I'm mostly doing this so when you guys look at it in the GitHub, you can clearly see what's going on here. All right, so we have that part working just fine. The next part is we have this text field, which works perfectly for what we're trying to do. And instead, we're just going to modify it up a little bit. We're going to call this rename tag mix. I think like maybe rename tag mix package or something like that. That's fine. That works good. And then that needs to be the name and the ID. And the value is not going to be anything. Instead, we're going to have a placeholder. The reason is because we don't want the value to equal anything. We want the user to be able to set something new. I think I deleted the close. Yeah, I did. So let's just set a placeholder on this one. And let's say new package name. ... or ellipses, if you will. All right, and that's gonna be very easy. That's gonna allow us to have the user set a new package name. And then down here in the predefined traffic sources, we're going to actually just change this up to say, maybe just say like change package source or something like that. I'm trying to think what I want it to say. New source key. That's fine. New source key is fine. And then that's the name, that's the ID. And we need to say change source or something like that. All right, change traffic source, singular, not plural. All right, and then it's gonna have all those pulled in. See, we actually were able to take this from our one above because we're doing essentially the same thing. We just need to load in all of the traffic sources. And then we're just gonna say update this tag mixer package. Yay! I think now on a refresh, let's go take a look, things should be shaping up. All right, so now we have edit a tag mixer package. So we can select this one, we can give it a new name, and we can give it a new source. Look at that, it's loading our sources, right? We could go in right now and put in like Google. We'll do that, in fact, to make sure that it's changing. Okay, well now we need to get into the PHP part of this. And we're already at 10 minutes, I think, or somewhere around there, so I kind of want to hustle on this. So back up at the top, we're actually going to make this a new slot. Oh, one thing I did forget below, sorry about that, is I need to add a second hidden field into our form. And I'll show you why that's important. So we need to add a second hidden form right here under the first one. I did this in my YouTube building series, and we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to create an input type or an input hidden type again. And that way it's just hidden in the form. User doesn't know it's there. And the value is going to equal update. And the name of this that's going to show up in the URL is action. Now, what does this do? Well, it creates another get variable in our URL that just contains its named its value is update, but its name is action, so say action equals update. And up top we can check to see if a user is updating based on this. We could also check to see if certain things are true, like does existing mixers exist, because that means a user submitted this form. But I like to do it this way to be a little more clean, and that way it doesn't rely on certain data. It just, even if the form had no data, it would still fire this code. If we wanted it to. There are other cases where you would not want it to. So we're going to make a new block here, and we're going to say if the user is updating a package, do this. All right, no problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by running an isSet method, or an isSet function. isSet determines if the variable is set. Otherwise, you're going to run into some issues. So we need to say if isSet get action. If an action is set, right, that's basically just checking to say, is a variable, a get variable action set? And that would be, because we just added that as a custom field. If it is set, user's trying to update. User is updating a tag mixer package. That's what this code is going to do. So first things first, we need to get all the existing packages. Well, we can actually steal that code once again from below, right? Did I call those source keys still? No, those are called source keys down there. Tag mixer packages. We can actually take that code from right here and we can put it right back up here, and now we're getting some tag mixer packages. And instead of calling it that, I'm just going to call it the packages. And once again, this code is really redundant. You could actually do this one time in the page and cycle it over and over and over, but I'm just, for the case of this tutorial, I really don't care. I'm just trying to show you guys how to do this, because it's like I said, you can get into the specifics of how you would exactly code it and all that, but this is at least just getting the job done. So now what we need to do is we need to explode a string, because on an incoming query, when the user sends through the existing mixer package, this one here, see how we separated it by a space and a slash space and a slash space? So we can explode the string by that, meaning that we basically just take the string and turn it into a array that we can piece out and particle out. I'll show you right here. So we're going to say the package key, and then we're going to say explode. This is the PHP function for splitting a string. The delimiter is a space and a forward slash and a space. And what we're splitting is that drop down that gets sent through. And it gets sent through existing mixers. Now, why does it get sent through existing mixers? That is the name of the field. Let me just show you. The name of the field. Remember, the select, this select right here, the value in this select is going to be sent through the name of whatever the select is. In this case, it's existing mixers. So that's going to send through the URL as a get variable under existing mixers. So we're exploding that now by forward slashes, and we're going to have how many? 4 different slots that each contain something different. 1, 2, 3, 4. But in programming, arrays start at 0. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. We have 4 items, but it counts 0 as 1. So now we have the user's package that they're attempting to update, and we have it split. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to circle our posts, and we're going to look for this custom key, and then we're going to update because we know we're at the right one. So how do we do that? Well, we create a for each like every other time, and we say for each the packages. Remember, the packages contains our get posts up above as, and let's just call this each package. That's fine. All right, so here comes a part that's not too big of a deal. Pretty easy code, actually. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to see if it has the same unique key as the current package. Check for same unique key as user selected package. We have both of these. And how do we have them? We say if. First we need to check and say if the rename package is not what they want to rename the package to, meaning that they actually have data. And this is kind of redundant. I'm kind of doing error checking up here to see if they actually entered some data. You would really force them to do that below. So I'm kind of considering taking this out in this case, but I think maybe I'll put it in here anyway. So if get, and we're going to say rename tag mix package. That's the, and actually sometimes it's better to just copy it. That's the name that they're trying to do right here. That's the text field. It's going to have the new name in it. If this is not equal to nothing, then another nested statement here. The user, oh, actually before this, that's actually going to be nested within as well. Before this, what I want to do, I was just thinking to myself, I wanted to compare to see if it's the same. That's the first thing we should be doing before we even do that inner compare. So we need to say actually if, and now what we're going to do is we're going to check if e package, this is the current item that's being cycled through our post content. Now remember, in the post content, it contains the unique key is equal to the package key at 1. If those are equal, guess what we found? We found the post that contains our key. Now, how do we know that? How do we know that? And by the way, that's a, I can take that off there because we have that nested. So how do we know that? Well, ePackage is we're cycling through the packages, which contains all of our tag mixer package posts, okay? And in those package posts, we have at the content equals the unique key when the user created the package. Well, when we exploded our get variable that the user selected from here in the existing pages, remember 0, 1. Slot 1 is going to contain the custom key. So cycling through the database, looking through posts, does the one the user selected match the current one in the database that we're cycling through? They do? Okay, so these are the same posts. We're on the post that the user selected. Now we can start updating and editing its information. Does that make sense? I hope so. So now we're going to say user has a new name, so update the name. See, that's why we're actually checking here. We're checking to see if the user did create a new name, and if they did, we need to update the name. So here's how we do that. We need to create a data array similar to when we create a new post. We need to say array. This is actually, like I said, extremely simple to do. And then we need to create a couple of parameters for that array. The first one is just really simply the ID of the post we want to update, and that needs to be how do we get the ID? Well, we're currently on the package that is the one we want to edit. So we say ID. And then, get that out of the way. And then we need to edit what's the name going to be updated? Which one is the name sitting in? It's sitting in the post title. That's where the name is stored, like the Home Depot 2. What do we want that to equal? The user's newly defined name, which is a get variable that was sent through. And it was sent through rename tag mix package, because that was the text field where they can set the new name. And that is it. So now we have the new data ready to be inserted. We can do that just like this. Update the post name. Now, this is a function we haven't done before. This is WP update post. Simple as that. What it's going to ask you for is, guess what? Data. We already set it above. Right here, we created the data array that has the post ID and what we're updating. So it's going to go ahead and update the post title name. But we are not done. And the reason we're not done is because we need to check. Update if the user wants a different source. We need to update the meta. This is the last thing we need to do. Update the meta data if the user wants to change the source. That's if they selected a new source key. Well, here's how we can do that. We can say if we need to check for the source key equaling something. The user, remember, we called it new source key, if you remember, right? We can go down and check it if you'd like. Remember, that's the right here, new source key. That's the second drop down. This one down here for the one they can change to. And we need to grab its name. If the new source key is not equal to nothing, meaning that there is something in the get variable for it, then we need to update the meta as well. Update the meta. And here's how we do that. It's really similar to updating a post. Update meta, or update post meta. Just like that. This is the last function, guys, and then this video is over. I know it's gone way past my normal 10 minutes, but there was a lot to do here. It's very similar to when you're doing a post. You need the ID of the post. Fortunately, we're still inside that loop that's cycling through. So we have that. It wants the meta field that you're wanting to update, which in this case is the source key. And then it wants to know what you're updating it with. And in this case, once again, we have a get. And then inside that get, we have new source key, because that's what the user sent through. Okay, fair enough. Well, let's go take a look and see if I broke everything horribly or if it works. So on the refresh, we should have nothing. We should have an edit existing page. And look at this, tag mixer package key. Well, we should have called that name. And I'll probably do that, in fact. I'm not too worried about it at this moment. And then choose a change traffic source, tag mixer package. It should say name. So in this case, let's just change the name. Let's just call this Home Depot. Or actually, let's just say Lowe's. That's a lot easier. Lowers. Lowe's. Now, we didn't select the new traffic source. So, and you know what's interesting is I guess it would probably change to all sources if I didn't select something. So that would need to be worked on. So technically, if we open this up, it should say Lowe's. And look at that, it does. It says Lowe's now because it changed the name of the mixer package. Let's go back to our settings page and let's add a new source. Let's call the new source Google, like AdWords or something. And let's just say GAdWord. GAdWord, that's fine. And now we have two selectable sources. So back in our packages, open this up, select the package. We're not going to put anything in the name. We're going to select AdWords. See how it pulled both of our things. Update this package. Take a look at the existing packages. And look at that. Lowe's and AdWords and GAdWords. So now we are able to edit our packages successfully. Okay, and we're able to change their traffic sources and their name. Very important for the traffic source part primarily, because that way it can trigger on different sources and you can set it and change it. You don't have to keep, you know, when you create a whole content like package for it, you don't have to delete it and recreate it. So hey, I think I'm gonna wrap it up right here because this video is already pretty long and there was quite a bit to do, but that kind of wraps up our tag mixer editing part. We can write text for the user, direct them on what to do. All that will come ahead because I am going to be submitting this for probably actually to the WordPress repository once it's done. So I'll have to make sure to do all those little things. But hey, if you guys appreciate this, subscribe, will you? And if you're already subscribed, I really do appreciate you. And I'm happy to keep teaching you guys stuff. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one where we start working on the tag mixer package settings themselves. Finally, I can kind of go over what I want to do here. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part.